kidding. I'm totally. Honestly, it's
A grand and glorious now to all of our electric echelon out there. Thank you for tuning in to episode 4 of the Welcome to Earth podcast. Without any further ado, it is our esteemed pleasure to introduce our guest today, Super Bowl champ, entrepreneur, an ambassador to the New Orleans charity, Son of a Saint,
and co-founder of Champion Venture Partners,
Marques Colston. Marques, it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Appreciate you guys having me on.
this is one of those things that is a high honor for me. Never in my freaking life would I think that I would be on a podcast with Marques Colston. And I think we've talked about this in past episodes where I'm born and raised in New Orleans, and I remember, I think I was in college when the Saints won the Super Bowl, and I was just like, Drew Brees, Marques Colston, and my brother, he bought the OG Marques Colston jersey, and it's like, the only way I knew of this guy was, through my television screen, and here we are. Welcome to Earth, episode 4. Wild.
No, it's funny how everything comes full circle, but no, it's just meeting kind of in this space, that intersection of sports and business is I think there's a lot of these kind of serendipitous things that happen. So definitely excited that we did get a chance to meet, because I think we got some big things in store.
So for those of you watching this episode, this is probably what I would say so far the most breaking news episode of any episode we've done. Derek, you probably agree, because we're about to delve into things that have not yet come to pass in the world of Atlas, in the game. A lot of the times, like last episode, we did a breakdown of the music video that at the time of filming had 1 million views and now has nearly 6 million views. And it's cool to break that down. But those are all stuff everyone has experienced together. Today, we're about to talk about stuff with Marques Colston that is still forming, thoughts in our minds as people in the company, and may not actually be in the game for another year. But it will give everybody insights into where the world of Atlas is headed and the type of caliber of people that we're working with to make this kind of shit happen, right? So, but before we do that, Marques, I got to ask, because, I hear about football practice. What is it like to be going? Because the only type of practice I've had is in high school sports, going to I played soccer very briefly. Funny story, tore my ACL in my first preseason game, but I did conditioning. I did months of practice. But preseason, what is that? Just to an average person, what's your routine? Or was? Obviously you're now doing other stuff, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. One I normally don't get. I think that, the easiest way to think about practice, whether it's, in season, preseason, off season, even, it's just the ability to compete at the highest level. I think a lot of people, they fall in love with the game on Sundays and Mondays. But ultimately, even the practice squad players that are on the roster, the guys that are running the look squad, these are 0.1 percenters, they're 0.1% performers, right? So if you can imagine, every day you're going against somebody that's one of the best in the world, and it's really just that's the part that you fall in love with. It's the constant competition. It's the iron sharpening iron. And the guys that you're going against, you hope to see them, get their opportunity to play on Sundays.
Yeah.
But they also know that they're there in service of this larger mission. So it's what I call it's really the ultimate team sport, just because a lot of the work is done in practice, and then you get to the game.
And are these
Sunday.
practice games, or are the people who are on this practice squad, are they studying maybe the team you're about to face and try to replicate what they would do? It's wild, right? So it's a lot.
Exactly.
It's a lot of academia in a way, right? It's a test. Every team is a test, it sounds like.
It's really it's strategy in its truest form.
It's
And
crazy.
that's the part that that's the part that I think is lost in the athleticism and the art form. It's strategy, right? So you nailed it. Like a lot of our practices are really taking what the other team does best, taking their tendencies, taking what they do in certain situations, and then getting repetitions against those looks, so that by the time you get into the game, you never know exactly what they're going to do, but you've narrowed it down to maybe two or three different things, so you can kind of move and adjust on the fly. And
It's so
that's
fun.
really what the whole process becomes.
It really is like an kind of an art of war situation, right? Because they're also kind of trying to study you and almost trying to read you, but you might go, well, these are the readable things about us, or vice versa, and everyone's kind of changing things up. It's really, really fascinating. I mean, you know, I'm one of those ignorant people probably that thinks that like football is like pitch and catch, but like everyone plays Madden and they're like, oh, you just hit the X button when they're open. But that's why I had to ask because I knew like, I just don't think enough people talk about the what I would call the academia, like in college, um, I regret to say I was pre-med, probably more so to make my parents proud than anything. But like one of the classes we had was organic chemistry. And it's just like this study of molecular bonds and structures. And I'm just like studying this stuff. And I'm just like, God, first of all, it's complex. Second of all, what am I doing with my life? Like, studying a triple hydrogen bond. And it's just interesting how I think, and I'll speak as a marketer, Marcus, is that my brother's an engineer. My dad's an economist. I come from my family is full of academics. And whenever I used to say that I went to school for marketing, literally people would laugh. Like, oh, that's what you do when you don't know how to do anything else. But like, marketing involves so much analytics, so much psychology, so much really like difficult things. And I think that's kind of why I'm appreciative of your answers. Like, I don't think people appreciate enough about the strategy behind football.
You hit the nail on the head with the marketing analogy, because it's really understanding the concepts in a vacuum is one thing, but understanding how to apply those concepts in real environments, in changing conditions, like that's really where the art meets science. And I think that's was one of the reasons I think we've been able to connect so well with such different backgrounds, is because we kind of both come from that area where we are in that combination of art and science, and you've got to take the science and you've got to be able to get it to people in an art form that they understand, that they can interact with, and that they can apply it to their lives.
Okay. I mean, that is such a takeaway heard from a Super Bowl champion himself. I mean, that is such a life lesson I think that people need to appreciate is everything's simple on the surface, but if you want to be a great, you truly have to dig deep and understand the science behind it. You have to understand how things work. Um, the first thing I did at Acorns when we ran meta ad campaigns was I went on a deep dive to really understand the algorithm behind how ads are served, where a lot of people will just say, make this video and pay for Meta to show it. And it's like, and when we hired Derek, Derek, as everybody knows, Derek's the face of all of our ads and a lot of the stuff in the game. But I mean, Derek, you can speak to that, right? The science behind what you do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a huge learning curve because I kind of came from outside of the industry, and hearing you, Marcus, talk about how you kind of were a fish out of water when you transitioned into your kind of new role, and how the most important part is kind of putting your boots on the ground and being willing to learn, and being able to transfer those skills that in one subset are great, but unless you can take that and apply that on a broader sense, you'll be struggling. And yeah, it's a great takeaway.
Derek, you've done your research. You're
Sami gave me a master class when I came on board, and then taking that initiative to go on your own and go the level above and do the
Yeah.
extra research and really dive in deeper it's been a boon, and it seems to be working.
Yeah.
It's the work that not a lot of people are willing to do, man. That's why I appreciate it so much.
Amazing. All right. I think we will ask one gimme football question and move on, which is there a play or a catch in your career that is your favorite? That like you think of a lot, like you go maybe, and by the, oh, sorry, you know what? I shouldn't even say favorite, that you think of a lot. It might be a painful memory, but I'm just curious, like, and I'll make this fair for me because I hate when people ask, was it great winning this? Of course it was. But if you're
Right.
like me and you're an entrepreneur, which I know you are, it's not about that last one, and I'll tell you, like, for me, there was a point where this company wouldn't have made it. And we made some really hard and important decisions. And I remember the weekend I came up with the concept of Atlas Earth. I remember it. Like, I don't know that I'll ever forget it, but it all came to me in a single weekend. But the quick story on mine, and I'll turn over to you on this, is yesterday I was talking to someone and they were telling me how they were going to Japan. And I went to Japan once, but I remember what I did in Japan, and you guys are both going to laugh. It had nothing to do with being in Japan. Atlas Reality as a company started because of a Kickstarter. And when I was in Japan at night, all my friends and my wife were asleep. And you know what I was doing? I was rendering scenes for my Kickstarter video. That is my core memory of Japan. And I think back, and at the time I was like, I'm just making this video, but it's evolved into something so big. But I just remember, like, it could have been anywhere, but I was in Tokyo, 2 a.m., checking the status of the render of my video, right? That was going to be
Yeah.
the Kickstarter that led to everything. So it could be in high school or whatever, but I'm just curious if there's that one moment that you look back on and you're like, this is, this felt like a very pivotal thing in my life.
So for me, I think the one that I always think about is literally my first touchdown with the Saints. So it was my rookie year, week one, 2006, playing in Cleveland against the Browns. About 9 yards out, I'm on the right side of the field, run a Harvey route, catch the ball, break a tackle, dive into the end zone. And for me, it was really like the culmination of getting to that point. Because for those that know anything about my journey, I wasn't a top pick. I wasn't one of those guys coming out of college that everyone knew about and everyone was excited to play and see play. I was somebody that very few people knew I would even have a shot. So for me, that touchdown represented in a very similar way to your core memory of Japan. It represented the culmination of me betting on myself and proving myself right, proving the work right, proving the people that cared about me helped me get to that point, proving all of those people right versus proving the outside world wrong. Because everyone's going to have their expectations, everyone's going to have their thought process about who you are and what you're supposed to be. And the more you invest in those things, the more you leave the people that really did believe, the core people that were in that group that helped you through those tough times. I feel like it's wasted energy trying to prove everyone else wrong versus proving yourself right. And for me, that first touchdown, the first of 72, was a culmination of like I made this bet and the people around me made this bet and we're about to win.
I'm emotional hearing it, man. It's really something. It really is. I mean, and by the way, did you say it was your first game or your first week?
First game,
I
first
mean,
week,
for a
first
rookie in the
game, first
first
Hot
start.
week,
damn.
amazing.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's a really cool story because I heard John Gruden. I was watching clips and he was like, how you mentioned you weren't like the top draft pick, and I was listening to John Gruden say, "Man, I missed out on Marques Colston. That dude is tough as a $2 steak, man. I missed out. I had 7 rounds or something like." And testament to how
Yeah.
far you've come, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's betting on yourself, man. It's betting on yourself and proving yourself right. The more time you spend working on all the naysayers, it's wasted energy, man. And you're right. He did miss out and did a lot of damage against his Bucks.
Yep.
It's all good. Everything happens as it's meant to.
Like football? Well, when you buy NFL tickets through Atlas Earth with Vivid Seats, you get rewarded in-game in Atlas Bucks. Every time, every dollar spent, you'll get rewarded. So when the NFL season kicks off, be ready, get hip to Atlas Earth, and get rewarded for buying NFL tickets. Or for tickets to any other sports league, or live concert event, or live comedy shows. Any of that, you'll get rewarded.
So I heard you guys linked up and hung out Super Bowl weekend. Can you give us a little backstory on your guys' intro and everything?
Yeah, so I met Sami, through my firm Champion Venture Partners, and the relationship really started around a conversation on how can we take Atlas Earth and start to think about integrating into the sports world. And that's the work that we do as a firm. We want to invest and partner with really innovative companies, and we really want to change the face of sports and fan engagement in a lot of ways. And that's really how this relationship started. So we spent a lot of the week in New Orleans, going out and talking about what the new fan experience could look like, what the new fan engagement experience could look like, and Atlas Earth and is really at the core of what that could be. So we're really excited to not just leverage the platform that you guys have built, but really create new experiences for fans, new experiences for teams, new ways to engage with your favorite team, your experience in going to games, all of those things that make being a fan special. Atlas has the opportunity to really augment those things in a way that we haven't seen before.
And Marques is being obviously very humble in his approach, but all of you watching have undoubtedly already bought a badge, if not multiple badges, or tens of badges. For those who know, right now badges are only available for a city or a state or a country, which is great. You get to document your travels. I went to Mexico, believe it, for the first time in my life last year in November, and I bought the Mexico badge. And I think we're entering this world where physical things are easily lost and digital things are great places to hold memories. And I don't have a single sports game, like all my Saints games that I've been to. I think I've only been to like 4 or 5 in person, but I don't have any of those ticket stubs. I wouldn't even know what year or month or day. I think one was a Thanksgiving game at the Dome, but that's about it. You might have been playing in that game, by the way. But I think what Marques is alluding to, and I think I'm happy to tell the world, and tell this Atlas community what we're working on. Now, keep in mind, none of this is guarantees. None of this is, hey, this is happening for sure. But this partnership with Champion Venture Partners and what we're working on is, how do we make live events, starting with sports, an opportunity for badge sales? When I'm at the Saints versus Falcons game, and I'm at the game with 80,000 other people, all these people probably want to buy a badge and commemorate this game, and maybe, remember who they were with when it happened, what city it happened in. There's just so much to that you think about sports today, just it's ephemeral today. You go, you experience it, you're out. But the truth of the matter, in my opinion, is people are spending so much money going to these games that it is proof that it's not just purely about money. It's about the experience. And
Yeah.
Atlas Earth is such a great way to augment these experiences. And so, Derek, this, we've been looking around going, how how do you even talk to the NFL? How do you even talk to a team? And I got introduced to Marcus's firm, and they've made some introductions to NHL teams. There were potential MLB teams, a few NFL teams. And so just having somebody of Marcus's and his team's expertise, and Marcus, maybe you can talk about that because obviously a lot of people see you as a player of the sport, but I'm like over here going, damn, this guy knows team, people from other leagues that are not the NFL. And there's a part of me that's like, is there just like a little like secret Illuminati group of ex sports players that just knows everybody? But you know, Atlas Earth has this opportunity to expand what it means to be a fan because we're a real world game. Everything that means something to you in the real world should be able to be documented in Atlas Earth. And Marcus, you're helping with that. You're helping with those conversations. But yeah, I'm curious, like, how do you know all these different leagues? And like, yeah,
Yeah, most people know that I played for the 10 years I was in New Orleans. What people don't know is I've been in and around VC for the last 15 years. I've owned and operated teams. I've invested in companies. I've advised, consulted for companies. So in that, you kind of build. I've been able to build a network of people across leagues, across across industries, and we kind of built a team at CVP that's really the same, right? So a lot of us are former players that transition into corporate, and we just kind of built this network of relationships. One, because people respect what we did for a living as athletes.
hmm,
Two, because sports is one of those few things that truly unites us all.
yeah,
And three, because we have a different lens on how we view sports, on how we view the intersection of sports and business. And I think, you know, honestly, as an athlete, you truly are an entrepreneur at heart. Your whole journey is entrepreneurial, right? You start with this vision, at age 7, 10, whenever you start playing. And at some point, someone invests in you, whether it's a scholarship offer to go to place in college. Somebody drafts you. That's another round of investment. You get to another contract. You got your Series A. So
it's
in
so
in
fascinating.
in navigating both of these worlds, I've been able to pull these parallels together, and our firm has kind of built these parallels to where we built enough respect in the business world that we can walk in and have real conversations, and people know that we're going to bring value. And understanding enough about the entrepreneurial journey and what you guys are building at Atlas, it allows us to kind of sit in the middle as this connector and be able to bring really valuable platforms like yours into areas that we know we see a need, like we see in sports, and that ability to just augment the fan experience, like you talked about, to take the experience from transactional to one that's now memorable, right? It's now more than just sharing my stuff on Instagram or sharing my stuff on TikTok. Now I have something that I own. Once I own these badges, this is my digital property now. It's my
Yeah.
virtual property that I can now share with my community. So it takes a community-driven experience and it just expands it to a
Yeah.
level that fans have more and more ownership, and obviously the teams and leagues are going to benefit from that.
I love how passionate you are about this, and it like means the world to me because like you're not just out here, making introductions because you can. I can tell that you're excited about the community and what we're doing at Atlas Earth. Um, Man, it's cool. And so, for those listening, hopefully Atlas Earth badges coming to a stadium near you, and maybe so much more. And hopefully compliments of CVP for doing so. But again, this is not, I want to be clear because I think a lot of our community will take it and run with it and say, oh, it's definitely happening. This is a lot of work, meetings and meetings and meetings and red tape and all of that. There's a lot we have to navigate, but um, teams, just like Marcus has pointed out, are entrepreneurial and they realize the opportunity, right? I think we all do. But Marcus, I know one last thing is, you've said a few times on this podcast and mentioned to me personally how important this financial literacy and financial wellness is to you. And I know that that is something that is really important to you. Obviously, at Atlas Earth, we strongly believe that, you know, if a product is making money off of you, you should get a piece of it. And that's really the entire universe that we've built. But is there anything you'd like to share about, you know, this personal finance? Well, it could be things you're working on. It could be advice you'd like to disseminate that you think is important to you, anything you want. But I just wanted to give you the opportunity to speak about this thing that obviously I can tell is really passionate to you.
No, I appreciate that. And honestly, you know, you guys focus on that financial empowerment piece is one of the things that attracted us to you as well. You know, I just think as somebody that is in this venture space that did not come from it, did not know anyone in it growing up, I just think it's always important that in a lot of ways, when you're able to open a new door, it's your responsibility to hold it open. And I know that what we're building at CVP, you know, our goal is to be able to create a more diverse pool of investors. Yeah. And as part of that, when you're introducing new assets to people, introducing new ways to invest to people, you got to take that responsibility to really educate, to make sure that they know not just what they're investing in, but how it fits into their portfolio, how it may benefit their lives. And that's just something that I think, again, just coming from the background that I personally come from, a lot of our team comes from similar backgrounds. We weren't born into this space. We've kind of had to navigate and figure out and find our way through this space. So the ability to be at a place where you can share some of those insights with the generation coming behind you, you know, I think it's what we should be doing. And it's something that we're passionate about, something that we're very intentional about at CVP. And again, the fact that you guys are leading with financial empowerment as part of your platform just makes the partnership that much stronger.
Amazing. Well, Marques Colston, it's an honor and a pleasure, you know, to work with you, to try and tackle this expansion into sports. I'm really excited to see what this next year or two holds. And yeah, I can't thank you enough for joining us and sharing your insights with our community. And I'll let Derek wrap it up.
Yeah. Thanks again, y'all, for tuning in. Marques, thank you so much for creating the time to stop by and share your wisdom with us today. And I think everybody, including the community, should be excited about the fruits of the partnership and the trajectory going forward. We're just getting started, so it's a very exciting time.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, fellas.